I am Eon, and it is Sunday, July 20th as I record this. We're going to split fantasy into two videos because there's so much to cover here, and we're a bit slow. Really quick before I get started, I do want to point out I've got a new microphone, so I'm curious to see if you notice any difference in the audio, if it makes it better, worse, or anything, hopefully better, considering what I spent on it. But anyway, let's get started here. It's a Rode mic. Pod mic for anybody that's interested in that type of stuff. I'm not much of an audiophile myself, but anyway, I digress. Aether Studios, up first, is doing the Aztlan, basically kind of, I guess Aztec / Mayan / what have you type of terrain. So very South American inspired or even Central America inspired. We also have the bridge and we have some planters. The Dark City has a flea market. The Mage Tower is coming in as well. And we have some farmhouses. Pretty cool models. I like the swoop of the roof. And here we have a Grim Lab, which is, I believe, for gremlins, because in a second here, we have some gremlin miniatures as well. Arbiter Miniatures this month is going into halflings. Halflings, we have the resin pre-supported miniatures. So you get about 4 of those characters. Notice we have like a female, a guy with a stick, and they typically create the same miniatures here, but they are supportless. So you do not have supports on these, meaning that you need to add your own supports to them. There's the guy with the stick, and there's the female. They've also added in their advanced FDM. So for those of you that have like a 0.2mm nozzle and want to print FDM miniatures with your own supports, they have these as well. There's the guy with the stick, and there's the woman. So again, you basically get the same 4 models, just slightly different poses. And it just goes to show how much of a, what's the word I'm looking for, professional sculptor Arbiter is in being able to do that. Artisan Guild this month is doing the Infernal Legion. Here's a look at everything you get. If you are on part of their guild hall, which is joining directly through them, you get these bonus Infernal Ravagers, which have gun and sorcery. So if you want kind of a more sci-fi look, here's some Infernal Ravagers that come with swappable weapons and some more poses and sculpts of those. We have the Infernal Warbeast Riders and more of those. And sometimes, of course, we have the mounts without the riders. Here we have Asmodeus, the Sovereign. Here's Moloch, the Scourge of Inferno. He has how many hands? Here's Varus, the Champion of Asmodeus. She comes in a special not safe for work version. And Draken Zesterot, the Devourer of Worlds. Hey, I thought Galactus had that name. And there's some infernal terrain as well as some infernal weaponry as well. Also, if you back at another tier, you can get several busts available to you as well. Archvillain Games for fantasy is doing Hordes of Wrath, Rites of the Frontier. Here we see the Gore Shrine of Koth. He's obviously seen better days. Here's the Gore Fiend of Koth and the Gore Serpent of Koth. Slave Fiend of Koth and Guile Winterdam. Cormac the Savage. Pretty nice barbarian model there. And Warchief Hilfi? Milfy maybe. Gore-Tusk Berserker 1, 2, and 3, and 4. I'm sorry, that was uncouth of me. Gore-Tusk Fell Beasts. Are those like accessories or are those like attempts to stop them? It looks painful. Here we have the Karani Shield Maiden. Comes in 4 sculpts. The Vorgathy. I'm not sure what the bottom of that thing is. Or even, was it like part Gene Stealer, part Barbarian, part... The face looks like a snake or, I don't know, spider perhaps? Karani Witch. And that's the release from Archvillain Games. Avatars of War this month has put out Goblin Archers Multi-Part Regiment. And Goblin, another view of that as well. BattleYak Miniatures has British Army of the Peninsular War Kickstarter, which launched on July 1st. I guess I should have checked if it's still going, because this is a little bit later than I intended to put this video out. But they do have Ancient Warfare miniatures here. And there's kind of a release of the entire historical look for the most part. Obviously not the tanks. And here's that kind of gray area of maybe, some gunpowder, maybe or not. Now, they've also put out Grim Wars as a tribe. And I did not realize this was a thing for BattleYak. I saw somebody mention something about it, and I was like, wait a second, BattleYak has Grim Wars? And they do. So Fantasy Battlefield here is their July release. They are Lions Clan Orc Skull Crushers, Orc Riders, and Orc Flagellants. BattleYak Miniatures is doing the Seven Heavens Omen Choir. This is their free mini for the month. And here's a release at the whole look. So it looks like we're doing some biblically accurate and not so biblically accurate angels, basically. These are Extollent Maxims. I was putting this together, and I was trying my best to figure out what the title of everything was, and then I found the pictures that actually had the titles on there. So thank you for doing this, BattleYak. These are the Vesselshorn Maxims. Valkyrie Murmurs. Things of your nightmares, I would dare say. These are Axiom Whims, minor fly-in warbeast. These are Axiom Penoptes. Looks Greek. I never took Greek. They do come with different eye patterns as well. These are the Coral Misanthrope. Comes in a few different variations, wings and not. And we have here several different heads that you can use. Notice there are different eyes, eyeless, multiple eyes, etc., as well as some weapons. Just lots of ways to customize your miniatures here. And this shows how those things go together, and again, all the different customizable heads or eyes or faces that you can put on there. Some unique looking bases as well, and there is the release from BattleYak Miniatures. The Beholder Miniatures is continuing, of course, One Sin for Seven Kingdoms, and I really like their models. Here we have the Evergreen Elves Meadow Riders. These are just good, classic fantasy elves, in my opinion. I love a dwarf, but I like a good classic wood elf as well. Evergreen Elves, these are Glade Avengers. And man, look at imagine trying to sharpen that thing. You'd wear out the whetstone halfway down one pass. I hope it's a lightweight metal. It's got to be heavy. They also come with a masked variety as well. To be more stealthy, because, the weapon is so stealthy as well. These are the Evergreen Elves Death Dancers Command Group, and I've made the joke before in the preview. I'm pretty sure this guy's name has got to be Rufio. Rufio! And, I'm not sure what to name the other two here. Rapunzel, maybe? Let down your hair? She's got a harp. She will sing, so she could be a Disney princess. Dwarven Kingdoms, Cromnir Rune Scryer, and I say that completely with love. And Dwarven Kingdoms, Iron Spitter Ballista. On the left, I did not notice the guy sitting at the back there, but gotta love the goggles, the beard, all of that. He has a quiver. Here's the Dwarven Kingdom's Octobeard Fest Chariot. Coming out in plenty of time that you can go ahead and get this printed and painted and ready for Oktoberfest, which I think is in September, right? Lord Hymnoscure, the Stormwolves' Great Commander. Just an amazing wingspan and look to this miniature. Notice he comes with both a helmetless and helmeted version, and different weapon options as well. Belxasar 3D Print is doing Thunderforged Legion. Here we have Elraris Skyrest and a Thunder Dragon. Skywatchers. These models have kind of an anime look to them, and I actually like it. I know not everybody may like that, but I like the way these look. Thundercaller, and of course comes along with the Thundercaller Griff. Not a griffin, doesn't have any wings, so it's just a griff. Thunder Hammers. Thunder Hoofs Rider. Now, I am a bit confused. Why is it called a Thunder Hoof? Shouldn't it be a Thunder Claw? I don't see any hoofs on that critter. Anyway, who am I? Here's some props that you can print off for yourself. Some bases and some Legion banner. Bestiarum Miniatures this month is continuing. Now, they are changing up their Patreon/tribe a little bit. Where they normally kind of put out like 2 releases and then like an extra little bitty release you see there in the middle. I think they're going to just kind of 1 release, but they will be changing up their tribe a little bit, and I can't blame them. They've been so prolific, it's got to wear thin at some point. Here for this set of 3 of the Alchemic Order, we see the Sealed Vessel, the Duelist, and the Reactionary. For the Alchemic Order models, we have the High Alchemist Delphus. This is an Alchemist Servant and some Alchemic Grenadiers. A Homunculoid Sphinx and a Homunculoid Bombard. Homunculoid Bombard that comes along with a Cherubic Homunculi. Reminds me of the guy from 300. I forget what his name is. Here we have Nagaroth. I'm probably butchering that. So here we have the Fishwives of Saltwitch and the Children of Saltwitch. They look like something that even Tim Burton would find in a demented look. Here's the Boatman and the Brine Hag. Can't exactly tell where she ends and begins. Bite the Bullet Studio is going back to Kobolds this month. I feel like we've been there before, and not just because it says part 2. I feel like we've done more than just 2 parts, but I could be wrong. Here's the throwback pack you'll be getting with the Kobolds this month. So we have a Kobold Beetle Rider, and I think the Beetle comes without the Rider as well. I may be wrong there. It's Kobold Raider. Kobold Barbarian. That's a nice mixture of a multi-class. A Kobold Marauder. Kobold Savage. And a Kobold Wizard. A Kobold Tribal. And a Kobold Trapper. Kobold Witch and a Kobold Rogue. A Kobold Alchemist and a Kobold Paladin? Kobold Minstrel and a Kobold Inventor. Now, both of these come with slight variations, and I want to show you that. So here's the Kobold Minstrel, and there's the guy with the goggles on. He's really cool with the goggles on. And then for the exotic, we have, I can never pronounce this name, Siaban, the Half-Dragon. I think it's pronounced Shivon. Okay, sorry about that. So let's go forth into Blackcrest Miniatures. Blackcrest Miniatures this month is doing the Bone Flock, which is basically undead crow people. Here's the Talon Knight plus some risen Bone Beaks and a Carrion Lord. Bone Beak Warriors and some weapons for those as well. Cast and Play this month is doing Night Dagger Rogues. Not Rouge, Rogues. Here is the Throwback Pack, which of course is not just one particular pack, it's multiples of them. And I mean, let's be honest, Cast and Play has done some amazing work, so you're getting some awesome stuff just with the throwback pack, sorry. Here we have Halfling Rogues, Masked Rogues, Caped Rogues, with or without masks, Hunter Rogues, Steampunk Rogues, Rogue Sisters, Cyclops Minions, Cyclops Guards. Their feet are a bit different. Cyclops Chief. So I can't tell if they're all on the same side or if the rogues are against the Cyclops. Probably however you want to roll that. And of course you get some bases, which is just some general nice looking stonework with them. Is that coins in there maybe? I don't know. Claudio Casini Art in July is doing all of these releases. We'll look at them in a little bit more detail. The T-Rex Jurassic Miniature, the Frogfolk Ranger Archer, the Female Monk Panda Folk, Bearfolk Bard with Lute, and the multi-race, I forgot the I, Swordsman. Clay Beast Creation. I'm one of those that always notices the typos, and I will call myself out on it, so sorry about that. So we have basically a bunch of eye tyrants of sorts, so kind of fits maybe with BattleYak this month, I guess. These are disciples. I see what you did there. Ugh. And Acolytes. Wow, we are punny today, aren't we? These are not my jokes, I don't think. Eilings. Apostle of Divination. I think I mistyped that too. I added, that must be where my eye went. I put it over here. No joke because these are all eye creatures either. Archseer or Arcseer and Devil Glider Squad. Sorry, it's probably only funny to me. And the Marrow King Squad, which is the throwback for the month. Claymore Miniatures as doing Ragna Doomhowl and Kalzar Valrith. Grommadar, the Firebender, and a Phoenix. We'll see a couple of Phoenixes this month. We have a Fire Giant and an Ifriti, a Salamander Guard, and an Aether Battlesmither. So a lot of fire-based minions here. We have an unfinished Iron Golem and a Hellhound. What, did they miss a block of iron for him? Confused. Magma Centipede and a Rust Monster. And a Molten Shackler. CobraMode this month. We have for July several models here that we can look from afar. Let's look at them in a little bit more detail. Here we have Blathrian, the Transformed Mage. Kind of reminds me of that scene in Alice in Wonderland when she's amongst the flowers. Here we have Yundiel, the Transforming Knight, and Lugraine, the Transformed Brute. Torachain, the Transformed Siorkel, ×3, and custom bases. Some pretty nice bases, actually. They also come with a square variant, and there's some scatter terrain that you can add as well. Creature Caster this month has put out this preview art, and that was all I could find at the time that I was doing this. We'll also mention Creature Caster for the sci-fi video. They've got a new tribe out this month you can get a free trial to. Crippled God Foundry is doing the Jungles of Chult, and I'm pretty sure that's a jungle in Faerun, the Forgotten Realms, isn't it? So we have the Jungles of Chult. We have just a very nice Aztec sort of Mayan temple. And of course, we notice the young lady back there is ready for sacrifice, as well as some stat blocks and maps. So here we have Sha'ira and Koren Vek. Sithri, the sorceress queen of Chult, and some Terra folk. Razor Talons, it's a nice way of saying Velociraptor. Fang Tribe Lizardmen, and there's some more of the Lizardmen. There's a Triceratops. The Spirit of Chult is a Tyrannosaurus, and Thala. Why does she have her name? And here's Rask. Interesting name choices. So notice that there are these. Oh, those are mummies. Hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil. And some sacrificial stones. I like the Pillar of Sacrifice. It's just classic fantasy art. I think this all just fits together very nicely. It's a pretty cool area. And apparently, if you have joined the tribe, they are also adding these dinosaurs into this. Sorry, I can't help but say it like Mr. DNA on the Jurassic Park movie. Custom Miniature Maker, of course, is doing the rollers, which they always do every month. Let's look at what the designs are this month. We have shelves of tomes and potions. Wooden floor planks. That's pretty handy, actually. Transmutation Circle. And I was reading this earlier, like Veritas in Sacro Alcheme Spirite Ardet Circulus Runus Ventus. I remember enough Latin to be able to kind of understand that, but not enough. Truth in holy alchemy, spirit, something. Yeah, I don't remember all of it, but that's really cool. Magic Shop panel wall. And yeah, I took 4 semesters of Latin in college against my advisor's recommendation. Magical research. Because I like word origins, and I think Latin is useful for that. Of course, you can always cut these off for unique bases, and that, again, just really cool. And for other scatter terrain, you have this. Now, this type of terrain is actually really cool, because if you'll notice, if you print this off just right and put it together, you can stick one of those little LED candles in the bottom of it and have it light up. So pretty cool interactive stuff. There's just some of the example of some of the scatter terrains that obviously need to be printed on resin or very, very carefully on a 0.2 millimeter nozzle. I don't know that a 0.2 millimeter nozzle would do those, but Dark Realms, I'm just going to say it right now. Dark Realms, they pulled me in this month. Are doing Dreadwood, and I wasn't exactly sure where to put this because this is definitely the Wild West, which isn't exactly fantasy, but I feel like this could be put in a lot of different places. But here's Buildings 1 and 2. Buildings 3 and 4. There's a typo on their graphic, not mine. Here's the Sheriff's Office and Sale and a saloon. Building 5 and Building 6. So lots of designs here. A church and a bank. And while I don't play anything Wild West miniature-wise, I always have this dream that one day I'll have a house big enough with a room to build a model railroad, and just being able to print these things out and have them there. Or maybe I want to go with one of the several Wild West miniature games that are out there. Or play like Kinzer and Company's Aces and Eights or something like that. You know, this would just work really well for that. They also put out this scatter terrain too, just really some saguaro cactus and wagons with cover and without, some water tower, a windmill, and lots of barrels and stuff that honestly can be used in lots of places. I just thought this was really cool stuff. Davale Games, or Davale, is doing several models here. Very Lord of the Rings kind of inspired sorts. So this is the White Swan Riders. And again, I say inspired, not actual Lord of the Rings stuff. This is the Ring of Legends. But these are Swan Riders. They're riding horses, by the way. They're not swans. This is Herald the Prince. I'm probably messing up that name. I'm never good with those accents. He comes with a helmet without. He comes on the horse or not. Here we have Shal and Krot, the orc captains. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure which one's which. So we're not going to try to say, hey, this one's that one, that one's this one. And they put out just the other day a snow troll. Daybreak Miniatures has the Skull March clan, a set of ogres, I believe. A lot of detail, a lot of characters in these guys. Lots of different weapon choices as well. That shield is probably a large shield, but for him it's a buckler. I think I knew that guy once. Dice Heads this month is doing the Smolderkin Guild, and I always like to list the names of everything when I can. It helps you and it helps me, but I'm honestly not sure what to call these, so I'm just not going to try. But I do like their style. Kind of a chibi style, but not exactly. Dino and Dog will feature more in the models video, but Dino and Dog does have a kind of Dungeons and Dragons style tier, which is the Cave Dragon, which has like sensory glands on its head to help it in the caves. So, I like that bit of biology there. DM Stash this month is doing Blood on the Sails. So, pirates. Here we have Bossman Bill, master of the hurdy-gurdy. Baz Smiley Armstrong, a Sharkman enforcer, and he comes in a couple of variations there. Hammerhead, or I guess just regular shark. Here's Baradin Blackbeard, captain of the Gilded Seahorse, and he comes in a bust form as well. William Jones, Revenant of the Galleon, and Fiona Deadeye Struggard, a harpoon marksman. Perhaps she's looking for the white whale. Arakon of the Wastes, colossal first mate. Cilantros Azorius, a paladin of Endermaith. Snippy, the Blade Claw crab. That's a good name for a crab. Irvin Wave Dancer Barton, a Water Elamai scoundrel. Undying Scallywags. Ignacio Reyes, Hex Hunter of the Sea. Trixie Sureshot Kelpie, a pirate gunslinger. Idilian Kataran, an ocean soul sorcerer. I don't know, he looks like a waterbender to me. Harvold Blue Eyes Stalson, the Soulforge swashbuckler. And Charlotte Ann, gambler rogue. And here's Old Maugrin, the ancient Leviathan of the deep. And some shipwreck terrain as well. Dragon Trapper's Lodge in July is doing Secrets of the Silkbound and the Crimson Inquisition Part 3. So Secrets of the Silkbound, I cannot read all of a sudden. Dragon Beetle, Balong the Shadow Master, and some Mantis monks. Ming the Cyan of the Lantern, and some Moth wolves. Okay. Moth spell swords, and Shobu the Drunken Warrior. Beetle Samurai, and a Beetle Hulk. Yeah, that fits. Genshin the Wandering Ronin, and Wasp Assassins. Yeah, that's a good job for a wasp. Here's a giant wasp and a giant fire beetles. Yukiro the Face Taker, and dragon worms. Speaking of Avatar, The Last Airbender earlier, wasn't that in one of the episodes of that? Or a character very similar to that? For the Crimson Inquisition Part 3, we have the Ancient Bloodlord. And those are bats, not blood under him. Here's some ancient ones. We have vampiric dragons that are armored. They come with a Blood Tyrant mount. These are desmogryphs, and they are armored. So apparently it is, I'm not exactly sure what it is. It's part bat, part wolf, part fox, something. Devoted ones, basic and adorned variants. We have some vampire brides and gargoyles. Swarm of rats, swarm of bats. Dragon's Lake Miniatures this month is doing Tyrant of the Underworld Demons. Here we see the Crimson Lord and Tyrant of the Underworld. Rippers, and more Rippers. That's the command group on the right, I believe. Here we have the Butchers of the Abyss, and the command group for them. And the Gullet of Desolation. Duncan Shadow this month is doing a bunch of animals. So here are some buffalo and here are some bears. Here are some armored bears and some bulls. They might all come from Chicago. These are lions and some musk ox. Skunks, it's hard to tell without the color obviously, and giant snapping turtles. Giant caterpillars and hellhounds, or hounds of Anwen. I think he said he was inspired by something for those. These are sheep folk. These come pre-assembled as a monoposed, if you would. Lots of variation here, because they also come as a multi-part kit as well, so you can put them together however you want. Different weapons, different heads or hats, and etc. There's also some warhounds. Apparently this was a highly requested item from him, or to him rather. And here is a squirrel wizard and cook. And some goats. Lots of animals this month. Dungeon Classics we have here. I apologize for not centering that. I think I intended to put something to the right there and just forgot to move that over. We have a female vampire and a male vampire. I also wanted to put these on the same page because it makes sense. Here we have the vampire spawn that are female and male. We have some Vrox and some wolves. We have some werewolves in their human form and in their hybrid form. Pretty classic vampires and werewolves. Dungeon Dog this month. We have the Crimson Mandate. And these are some critters I have never heard of before. This is a Balgura. So it appears to be some sort of gorilla-like inspired creature. And there's usually multiple sculpts of the same entity, so that's why they're A, B, and C, to represent the different sculpts. And here, this was the work in progress at the time. I think this is pretty good now, actually. The Balgura Chief. And the Smoke Mephit. Epic Miniatures has update number 1 is the Grand Carnival. And, wow, I'd forgotten about this. The Miniature Railway Ride. I absolutely love this. I've mentioned before I like model railroads, and seeing this, a complete scenic railroad ride, the one drives through a haunted village. Just really cool. It's like a miniature for your miniatures. I have to love it. I guess if you collect action figures, you could print this off and let your characters play with the miniature train. I don't know. Just I love it. I look at the detail. And my eyesight, it's probably wasted on me printed off these days, but man, it's a thing of beauty. There's also, of course, a train ride, which is a pretty typical ride you might find at a carnival. So we can see each car is represented by a different animal, and even the engine has its own little animal, little mouse, I suppose. Here we have a Ferris wheel ride. I'm kind of concerned because the little cages look like, well, they look like cages. And the octopus carousel ride. And these are just general carnival attractions and scatter terrain. Just, you kind of make your own Dark Moon festival in your game world for your characters. So here we have the clown party. Hopefully you're not afraid of clowns. Some of these are not as scary as others. Here we have Mr. Sweets, the Candy Golem. He's the mascot of the Candy Carnival. Don't be shy, take a bite. He's friendly towards every paying customer. We have a half-elf bard. She was expelled from the elven village because of her mixed blood, but she found refuge in the Grand Carnival. Her voice is literally hypnotic. Here we have the Monkey Director, or the Monkey Ringmaster, you could say. Who else would fit better to direct it than a talking animal? He's much more intelligent than it reveals. And we have some conjoined twins. The only place that would accept these twin brothers was the Grand Carnival. The Bearded Lady is a woman that grows a beard. And they did add a version of each of the Bearded Ladies without the beard, so that if you like the miniature but you don't want a bearded woman, you could still have her. This is the Giant Sloth Nomad. Members of the Giant Sloth folk, they will carry on his back to the carnival. If you pay him, it's like a living attraction. And so he comes with the ride. And if you look very carefully in the ride, there's this little fellow. This is the rider that goes up in there. Gosh, it kind of gives me Grogu vibes, I suppose. And here's a couple of variations again of the Giant Sloth. So again, you could put the rider up in there or not if you so wish. Can't imagine it's a fast ride. Here we have the Jester Girl. As dangerous as she is funny, you'll never know what she does next. The Goblin Tinkerer. Everyone's welcome to work at the Grand Carnival. The only requirement is you have to be a little crazy. A lot of jobs like that. Here is the Creepy Clown Construct built by the Goblin Tinkerer. Has a weird and kind of bloody humor. Then we have the Big Circus Construct, another one of its inventions. Director of many of the circus shows, since the animals can't eat it. Well, that was update number 1. Here's update number 2, which is Mind Attack. This is a Brain Stealer Black Dragon. We will start making various Brain Stealer dragons that look like the chromatic metallic dragons. Of course, only if they fit in the set. This is an adult black dragon that got infected. This is a Mind Mistress, cruel female mind eater. She leads the colony. This is a Brain Collector, beast that wanders the Underdark, collects the brains from corpses. If the harvest is bad, it doesn't mind creating more corpses itself. This is a Mind Colossus, relies on its physical strength and size, kind of a rare sight for a mind eater. Here we have an Emotion Master, an eldritch being that feeds off of extreme emotions, secretly controlling big crowds of humans. It doesn't mind if the emotions are good or bad, but sadly for us, it's much more difficult to make a human happy. This is a Brain Golem. Paradoxically, it's made of brain matter, but it's not very smart. It's very good at guarding mind eater colonies, though. A Mind Witness. What happens if you put a mind eater tadpole inside an eye tyrant? Creature made of nightmares. That's the truth. The Ancient Flayer, long lost home of the Mind Eater, home world of the Mind Eater. You can find creatures that evolve very similarly. They all love eating brains. An Elder Tusk says, "What's an elephant?" As it said that to its last meal. Spider Lady, don't get fooled. She has 8 limbs. She is definitely a spider in disguise. And a Mind Eater, just classic, good old-fashioned Illithid Mind Eater. Slave Mind is enslaves races and feeds on them. Sometimes they rebel and enslave the Mind Eater in return. Then we have what's called a Vampiric Mind, which is a Mind Eater hungry for long enough, might break a taboo and cannibalize other Mind Eaters. The result is a mutated abomination that cannot control its psychic powers. Then the Neogi Traveler. On the astral planes, these spider-like creatures, they are intelligent but not very friendly, often enslaved by Mind Eaters. This is a Psylord, the leader of an advanced Mind Eater colony in the astral planes, so powerful it even surpassed an Elder Brain. The Abominable Mind, another creature from the homeworld of the Mind Eater. Scientists theorize that its relationship to the Mind Eater is equivalent to that of a gorilla to a human, a split in evolution with many shared genes. So just when you think they can't come up with another variation of Illithid, they do. Mind Vagabond, a Mind Eater without a colony. It's always looking for the next adventure. And finally, from Epic Miniatures, a Neothelid, a Mind Eater tadpole that grows and grows and grows, mostly found in abandoned Mind Eater colonies. Fate's End is kind of weird for fantasy, but it fits. So here we have, at the top left, we have a Fate's End Year of the Snake. I'm not sure. So here we have a mini buddy Chompster. He's a baby Triceratops dice vault. We have a dice tower that's a T-Rex. You have a dice tower that's a folding Chompster. So there he is as well. A Chompster is a tome. There's a War Mount Dice Guardian, Ducky Toy, and another dice tower that's a T-Rex. Flesh of Gods is doing Hollow Thrones this month. For the Gargantuan, we have the Corpse Sant, King Eternal. For the large and huge enemies, we have the Minotaur Skeleton, Nightmare King, Vorus the Dragon Despot, wow, Morning Heart, etc. So here's the Royal Tormentor. There's Vorus the Dragon Despot, means he's like a ruler king. Minotaur Skeleton, Morning Heart, and Nightmare King. For the medium enemies, we have Edravan, the Mad King, Sereth, the Spectral Queen, Balera, the Grim Princess, a Shadow Ghoul, Royal Channeler, a Rotten Bishop, a couple of Crypt Knights, well, a third one as well. These are the heroes for Flesh of Gods. So we have here Cursia, the Moonlight Knight, Jester No More, and Bonvry, the Oathbreaker, Vasil, the Silent Herald, and Gavrik, Oathbreaker's son. You do get a couple of busts of Jester No More and Bonvrick, the Oathbreaker. And for the 4-year anniversary, they have an Elemental Cataclysm. Their throwback is the Crypt Keeper, High Priestess, Order of the Faithful Saints, and Shadowbound Cerberus. Fleshcraft Studios is doing the Barnaclaw Excavation. Again, every time I look at this, I think BioShock. How can you not? So the Abyss-clad sloop is pretty much all we saw from that. And then we have Forbidden Prince. Now, this, I think, is technically a sci-fi release, but it kind of fit as just a normal elven terrain. So I'm throwing it in here. The other terrain they had this month is definitely sci-fi, but this could kind of sort of fit. Well, folks, we are about 45 minutes in, and I'm not even halfway through the alphabet, but I am about halfway through the miniatures we're looking at. So I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to try to have both videos up pretty much at the same time, or pretty close together. So you won't have to stop and watch, but thanks for watching, and this will be continued. See you there.